These are shocking laws that are okay in Japan but illegal around the world. I'll show you guys some laws here in Japan that are actually legal but are illegal in the rest of the world. Many think that Japan is a very strict country, and rightfully so, but when you hear some of these Japanese laws, you may be scratching your head, and to be clear from the start, I don't recommend doing any of these things. I'm not providing legal advice, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Let me know in the comments how these laws compare to your country and if you agree or disagree with any of them. Alright, let's do this. Number 1. Age of consent. This one is a much debated topic in Japan today, but the legal age of consent is 13 years old in Japan and one of the lowest in the world. Age of consent referring to the minimum age at which a person is considered to be capable of giving consent to sexual acts. In fact, this has been part of the Japan Penal Code since 1907, more than 100 years without change. Interestingly, most prefectures in Japan have statutes and local ordinances that raise the effective age to between 16 and 18 years old, while at the same time leaving some gray area for specific cases. At the end of the day, though, the national age of consent in Japan is 13 years old. Number 2. Marrying cousins. On somewhat of a lighter note, it's legal in Japan to marry your first cousin. Like many of these laws in the video, it may be legal in some countries, or if you are from the US, in your state, but the truth is, in other parts of the world, marrying your first cousin is still against the law. So I thought this one was worth mentioning. This law dates all the way back to Japan's Meiji period when it was passed in 1898. It's common enough in Japan and there's a word for it. In fact, there have been many famous and well-known people in Japan who have married their first cousin. For example, Japan's 56th Prime Minister, who is the grandfather of Japan's more recent Prime Minister, Abe, was married to his first cousin. There were even 2 Prime Ministers after him who were also married to their first cousin. One of the reasons for this law was to allow families to keep their wealth within their family. Fortunately, for those living in Japan today who also want to legally spend the rest of their life with their first cousin, Japan is all for it. Number 3. Defamation. So this is an interesting one. In Japan, you can sue someone for defamation if they damage your honor, aka public image, even if the statements are true. But in Japan, hurting someone's honor or even hurting a company's honor is protected by law despite the statements being true. I should note though that many laws in Japan leave a lot of gray area, but the 3 main criteria for defamation in Japan is: Number 1, the statement is shared with the general public. Number 2, it reveals specific facts whether true or not. And number 3, damage one's honor, either socially their value or how they value themselves. So for example, telling your co-workers or the public that your married boss is having an affair with someone even though it's completely true is considered defamation in Japan. Even online statements, if the 3 previously mentioned criteria are met, can be considered defamation. There are exceptions though, such that you are stating facts about public interest or you are a whistleblower to expose company fraud, but at the end of the day, the Japanese law is to protect individuals and companies from malicious actors that intend to do their honor or image harm. Here are 2 examples that actually happened in Japan. Case 1 in 2018, a person was having an affair and it was posted on social media by a third party. Although the affair was happening, the person sued third party for defamation. The Tokyo District Court judged for the plaintiff and was awarded 100,000 yen, about $820 today. And case 2, a quasi-rape incident occurred in an event circle. Quasi-rape by Japanese definition is a crime of committing sexual intercourse, the influence of such as alcohol and lost consciousness to resist or was not able to resist. A magazine published an anonymous report about the incident without giving the subject's real name. In this case, although the incident happened and the subject was anonymous in the report, the court still awarded for the subjects as it was judged that the subject could be identified by judging the totality of the circumstances and received a total of 4.4 million yen. For defamation damages about $36,000. Maybe not necessarily illegal around the world, but I thought this one was worth mentioning. In Japan, hunting whale and dolphin as well as eating seal and sea lion is completely legal. Although it's part of the diet for some Japanese, it's probably safe to say that most don't eat it regularly, yet it's still easily found in shops and some restaurants. Even a quick search on Amazon will yield results for some of these animals. On the other hand, Shark fin is also legal to eat in Japan, but since it's such an expensive delicacy, here Japanese probably won't be eating it regularly. In regards to whaling specifically, Joji Morishita, who negotiated Japan's withdrawal from the International Whaling Commission, said in Japan the whale eating issue is a symbol of respect for different cultures. And many people in Japan think it's not right for people from outside to impose food culture on other places. Whether you agree with any of this or not, simple fact is at this time it's legal to eat these foods here in Japan. And number 5, cigarettes. So these days we all pretty much know that cigarettes are not that good for you. Many places around the world have laws protecting citizens, including children, from cigarettes and secondhand smoke. But Japan, although not there yet, is slowly catching up. There are still things that you can do legally here in Japan when it comes to cigarettes that aren't necessarily legal in other parts of the world. In Japan, you can still buy cigarettes from vending machines, granted you have a TESPO photo ID card and you are of age. Also, although most indoor smoking as of 2020 has been prohibited, you can still smoke in hotel rooms, cigar bars, and even small-sized restaurants and bars that were open before April 2020. I don't know though, I feel like there's still a lot of restaurants and bars all throughout Japan that were open before 2020. Either way, Japan has come a long way from where it was just a few years ago, when wherever you went indoors, you can pretty much smoke inside. Anyways, those are the things that you can legally do in Japan that may be illegal in other parts of the world.